And last but not least, let's talk about Blue Beetle, man. So
Sure.
this is the newest DC Studios film. We can't say DCEU anymore, or I should say technically it kinda is because I read in here is the 14th film in the DCEU. But I don't know, I just kinda see this both as the beginning of the new DC chapter or the end of the DCEU. It's kind of both at the same time. It's weird, right? But yeah, reason I mean wasn't like overly excited to see it, and that's just coming off of what we got from DC this year, with Shazam 2, which was fine, you know what I mean, but I wouldn't see myself watching that over in a hurry. The Flash I kind of want to see again, just so I could just take in, I don't know, I just kind of make joke of it, for myself, where it like there was a lot of bad in it, but I kind of want to see it again so I can be like, all right, I just want to make sure that I saw what I saw. You know what I mean? It's kind of like that. So I generally want to rewatch The Flash. So when years end come down and I'm working on a worst stuff list, there's a little
Right.
hint at what to expect. I could be like, all right, that really deserves to be there. I saw the film twice, so I know what I'm talking about, right? But whatever.
I don't hate the Flash enough to be it for it to be on our worst list because like I get it. Like I, I
Yeah.
I get why they make it like that, but yeah, it was a mess.
Yeah,
But yeah, go ahead.
it was a mess, right? So with Blue
Right.
Beetle, I just kind of went to like, okay, we gotta get back to basics here.
Right.
This apparently is the first Latino superhero in the DCU. We'll call it
Right.
now. Again, is it DCEU? Is it DCU? I don't know,
Eh,
right?
I don't know because I don't know if this is supposed to be after the events of Flash or before. But from what I gather, look, if the Flash came out before, this one comes after. So this is like the first movie in the new reset kind of part of James Gunn's thing. I ain't sure. It in a kind of weird limbo zone. And from what I understand,
Exactly.
right, from what I understand, it may be it might ultimately get dropped because of drama, it not making that much money and so on and so forth. So whatever.
Yeah, and just last point I'll make, because I want you to do the synopsis first, right? With something like this being out though, you would think, right? You would think Warner and DC would actually put out the goddamn Batgirl movie already. But no, because the test screening said it was bad, so we're not gonna
Right,
show
right,
that
right,
again,
right, right.
blah. But Blue Beetle is a thing, just seeing, and I'm not saying that because of the cast and what it represents, all that kind of stuff. It's Blue Beetle, right? And he, in a already oversaturated, pantheon of superhero movies, here we have this, right? But the kind folks in the Warner Brothers couldn't even put out Batgirl, right? But that's enough of that, right? So Blue Beetle, not familiar with the character from the
I
comic book
know.
itself. I do
Right,
know him from Young Justice. That was like my first
right.
and only currently inclusion to my introduction, sorry, to the character. But yeah, the moment I heard that this was going to be like a film, I was like, all right, okay. All right. And the casting I thought was great. I should say the lead. So forgive me if I butcher the name. Cholo Mariduena. You know what I mean? Who I know from the great Cobra Kai. Yes, great. Yes, because
Right, right,
I
right, right,
do
right.
really enjoy that show. Don't mind we have to wait a little while for season 5 because yeah, writer's strike. So sorry, we have to wait season 6 though. We had to wait a while for season 6 because the writer's strike, right? So yeah. So in the meantime, yeah, the man had to keep busy. So yeah, he toes wet, with his first big budget film appearance. So here we go. But yeah, Ricardo, take it away. What is Blue Beetle about?
So Jaime, just finished law school and he broke, and he come back home and then he realized the family more broke than he leave them because of rich people shenanigans involving what do you call it where's called when you gosh, it's slipping my mind right now.
No, not gentrification, no.
Gentrification, right? Thank you. Right. Yeah, yeah. So he house getting sell, and the business not doing good, and blah 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 blah. And he had to get work, and he get some little shitty work. He get fired from the work because Susan Sarandon catch them taking a shit, but catch the sister taking a shit, which is a funny bit I thought.
Yeah,
But
it was unexpected, but it was funny.
yeah, You're right, but what because he interrupt a conversation, with involving Susan Sarandon and her. I want to say the granddaughter of her, the founding partner of the company. They both found together, and it's cord industries. Well, once you hear cord, you know, all right, okay, you're referencing the old Blue Beetle, cool. And um, basically they just meet together to sort out a problem because Cord found something some years ago that could allow them to do some, in shenanigans involving militarism and super soldier program involving some, mechanical. So it's like a super soldier program mixed with an Iron Man outfit kind of thing, right? Really generic stuff at this point, I should say. And basically, she stole the girl, steal the outfit, and give it to Jaime. But the device called the Scarab chose Jaime to and it merged with him to become the creature, the person known as the Blue Beetle, looking like the Blue Beetle, in fact. And so you understand where all the technology working out and where it come from, but you understand also where the original Blue Beetle was doing his stuff from, because he kind of derived that technology the same way. And yeah, that's the story. It's just them having to sort out the shenanigans. They have to rescue characters and not rescue certain characters and do other things, and the family have to come together, and certain people probably die or maybe not, and so on and so forth. That's about it. Uh, this was pretty serviceable. Quite mediocre, but
Yeah,
serviceable.
it was.
Fine.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
We're sorry, but it was.
Yeah, it's fine. I mean, I don't have any major problems with it in the sense of wait, this is real trash or anything like that. It's just serviceable. Whether or not you should, the question is whether or not you should make the effort to go and see it is up to you. I vaguely recommend it, but yeah, it's one of those I'll put in the camp of yeah, you should probably wait for it to streaming service or whatever it is because it was just normal. From what I understand, it was supposed to be straight to streaming, and that's about it. But yeah, I didn't have any problem with it. It's just serviceable but needed punching up, right? So it was funny, but it could be funnier, right? The action was decent, but it could be better. Susan Sarandon and her two Hispanic henchmen got arcs. But that was resolved way too late in the storyline for me to care. By the time that rolled around, it had no emotional impact, in my humble opinion. Both of them, like especially one of them, which was like straight up I just cut from the movie. Like, what was the point of that? Because it wasn't even funny. It was also played for laughs and not funny. But I suppose I might think that some Hispanic people might find that funny because of the what was the undertone of the whole thing was. George Lopez, he didn't carry the movie or anything, but he really saved a lot of it. Like if it wasn't for him, I'd probably hate this a lot more. And then the family culture stuff works for the most part, especially with the grandmother and what they do with her. Yeah, it's fine. Like it's fine. I didn't hate this or anything like that. Mostly because the main star had some decent charisma. I thought he had some good screen presence. The sister was kind of funny. The other girl was forgettable, but whatever. She attractive. She pretty cute. So that's about that. And yeah, they play with the whole telenovela concept of it, which was kind of okay. Like they clearly make a reference to Maria de la Barrios. If you remember that telenovela, that's a real like probably one of the most popular telenovelas. But yeah, that's about it. I have no idea if they're making any references to the future because they tease a potential sequel in one of the post credits, and then the second post credits is always a time. Just always say a time. Don't stay for the second one. But the first one is like okay, they're hinting at something, and that's about it. I have no. Don't seem to be linking to anything else. Again, this is one of those things that in limbo with respect to what if James Gunn going to bring back this guy at all for Blue Beetle, but he could. Given that I my attitude about this stuff is that it's more soil than the seed when it comes to stories, and so I can imagine a lot of Hispanic people liking this because it is a workable as a family movie, for what it is. So that's about that. So I can imagine it coming back, and like you could one of the big I think at least where James Gunn is concerned, again just thinking forward of this, he could just leverage off of a popular character and make it work. Like, okay, the reason why I think the Zack Snyder stuff failed is because he never did anything interesting enough with Batman or Superman to make it work. But I remember at the time, roughly 10 years ago, when this stuff was coming out for the first time, I was saying what they should do is leverage off of Wonder Woman and Aquaman because they are the new characters and they're going to be super popular, right? The reason why the MCU worked a lot well is because it was characters right on the edge of popularity but never break into the mainstream now. So Captain America and Iron Man, right? Not super popular, just known but not super popular as like a Spider-Man or X-Men or anything like that. And then the MCU push them into the mainstream. Black Panther is another example. And my attitude with the DCU was, oh, do that with Wonder Woman and do that with Aquaman, because they're popular, they're known characters, but they're not mainstream household names. At least, especially, and Wonder Woman is an interesting case because she never got a movie, which was kind of weird, right? Like, and she's supposed to be one of the Trinity, right? Um, and they should have leveraged storytelling around that, and that would have probably worked a little better. Whatever. It all burned in a garbage fire now. In my humble opinion, the DCU gonna age about as well as the Police Academy movies, in my humble opinion. But I, well, I, but
Ooh,
that's how I feel about that.
jeez.
Yeah, that's my personal opinion. But whatever. But going now, I think Jaime is a character that they could do that with potentially, maybe. He's a character who known but not super popular, and another character I think if they make a good movie off of, and they build from it, and they make these two characters bounce off each other and make them work. Static Shock. I think if they make a Static Shock
Yes.
movie, they do it right. They could make it really popular because he's one of those characters that generationally could work. Because yes, around 20 years ago, the Static Shock TV show was out, and so the audience could grow up and make it work for what it is. That's how I feel about this. Right? Not telling James Gunn to do his job, but that's how I feel about where they should go with this in terms of leveraging material, in terms of getting the popular conceit of these world building to work. Assuming that this DCU stuff could take off, because I do think James Gunn has a much harder task than people giving him credit for, even though he has a very good track record. We'll see. This was just mediocre, right? I thought some of the special effects was kind of undone. It felt kind of unfinished, like especially with the city. Some of the city stuff. What is the name of the city? It like Miami. I forget the name of the city. But that city, all them sky shots and city shots were just feeling like, yeah, they could run that through the render a little more.
Oh,
Whatever, no bother
it's
much.
called Palmyra City.
Palmyra City, yeah, thank you, right. Yeah, so it's stuff like that. Everything was just kind of forgettable for what it is. But the main star, he's a good star. Everything it's serviceable, it's fine. But the problem is that it borrowed from a lot of other movies that we see before, and it's just kind of generic for what it is. Rating, yeah, I would say a 5 out of 10. I don't hate it. Again, it just they could have just do more with this and punch this up a little more and whatever it is. And yeah, I'm gonna straight up say George Lucas kind of saved it because he was surprisingly the heart of this and make it work, and he was like legit funny and a lot of great lines in it. And he was kind of the unique person. He and they do a couple moments with the grandmother. Had me laughing, but yeah, it just feel too kind of boilerplate, all things considered. But I didn't hate it. It's fine. Um, it works, so it's totally watchable, and I didn't feel like I wasted my time or anything like that. Because I went to the early screening. I get the cheap early critic screening, as call it. The cheap screening, and I get through
The
that.
critics treat it. I
And
love it.
yeah, that is what I call it. It's the cheap screening. It's just the one that you had to pay half for. And it was, I chill out myself and gonna get a couple of beers. It was an ice cube today, so it was a good day type of situation. So I was in a good mood overall for watching it, and it was fine, and I enjoyed myself. And yeah, so uh, it was fine. Like, that's it. But they could do more with it. I didn't hate it. 5 out of 10, closest to 6, to be honest. If you think about it, will I rewatch it? Probably, maybe. If I get drunk and I just sit down and lie down on my bed, hey, Blue Beetle, I'll watch over Blue Beetle, maybe. Although I might watch over Captain America: The Winter Soldier instead. I don't know. You see how it is? It's just one of these movies that a year from now you might watch it and you see it on and like, yeah, alright, I ain't so, this was alright. Yeah, as I said, it could have just been punch up a lot more to make it work. It's not memorable in any reasonable sense, I think. But I can imagine a bunch of kids liking it for what it is, and the Hispanic part works. Like a lot of that works. They reference Guatemala stuff, especially when they do the main bad guy, well, the main henchman bad guy. They a lot of like Central and South American history stuff. The undertones of it, and a lot of undertones with race and culture and stuff like that was there. That I could see people grappling onto for what it was. But yeah, that's about it. Yeah.
Before I forget, right? I would highly recommend not watching the. I think there was just only 2 trailers that came out for this, right? So I would highly recommend not watching the second one because I felt like
Right.
the scene it after the fact it gave away too much shots, right?
Yeah, because there's a scene with his sword where he get his sword, and I was like, oh, you gonna do Ichigo's Getsuga Tensho or something like that.
Yeah.
And yeah, boy, just straight up do a Getsuga Tensho with a sword that looking like Zangetsu. Like, all right, yeah,
No,
okay.
well, that
Yeah.
was in the first trailer. I think
Oh,
that
that
was
was
in
the
the
first
first
trailer.
one. Yeah,
Okay, okay.
but in the second one there's more stuff. What I mean is,
Right.
so without spoiling anything, a majority of what happens in the third act kind of shows up in this trailer. I'm like, oh, why would you show
Well, I
that
don't know.
again? I know Warner Brothers. I know all they can't help all themselves, but gosh, man.
Right.
So yeah, I kind of agree with you, boy, Ricardo. As much as I really would, like I was I kind of I wanted to walk on it. It's like, yo, Blue Beetle was much better than I expected. I just sort of came out like, yeah, it was alright, it was fine, it was cool.
It was exactly how I expected it.
Yeah, but I really do see myself remembering this in a hurry, which is unfortunate. But just to get the good out of the way, right? So not gonna pronounce homeboy name, but the one to play Jaime, he is great. Well, I should say he's just so likable, like you see him as like you just want him to win, man. You want him to succeed. The stuff involving his family and how likable they are, as well. You want them to get out of this financial drought that they're in right now. Okay, it's just like from bad to worse though. But you're kind of rooting for them to just make it out, right? I even dug where they are left off in the end. That's all I'll say, right? There's even like a really like powerfully emotional moment though. Well, I shouldn't say powerfully, but just emotional in the sense that you don't usually see this in modern superhero films. Well, I should say current superhero films, right? But I like that the show was brief enough to say, yeah, this is something that would affect Jaime, and let's touch on that for a bit, right? So I did like the whole stuff on family, right? Yes, we I don't even gonna do the Vin Diesel firmly, right? I did it right. Yeah, so it's not in that kind of way, but it's legit family, and that really what makes it work, right? To the point that they actually involve themselves in the third act. I was actually surprised by that, right?
Right. Yeah.
Yes, it is family friendly and kind of cheesy when you think about it, So
Right.
essentially, in a nutshell, it's the family members with cord industry like weapons basically. So yes, even though Blue Beetle has his powers, yeah, they have their own little gear to beat people up or shoot people up too. So it's like that, right? Even right down to George Lopez, who plays the uncle. He and all have a bit as well, right? By the way, George Lopez, Brown All Star, yeah, he saved the show as well, because he wasn't just funny and just dropping one-liners, but he actually brought some heart and just like reality to this is reality. This is what we have to deal with. He'll drop some stuff about how hard it is to be an immigrant. Means it's like that.
Right. As I say, a lot of I'll imagine if I was Hispanic, an American Hispanic person, I might have enjoyed this a lot more. Like they have a lot of parts, like especially involving something with the dad and the grandmother, and then the ending with the grandmother. She said, "We could cry now." Good moment.
Yeah.
I just couldn't again, because I'm not that and that. I don't connect to that in that culture in that way. It's like, all right, well, I mean, it's solid. It's just a solid beat.
Speaking of that, right? I do appreciate, right? So this is from Angel Manuel, or if I butcher the first name, forgive me, please. Manuel Soto, right? So he's Puerto Rican, right? So I do appreciate the sort of references to Latin American culture, right? Or I should say Mexican culture, Spanish culture, basically, right?
Because the grandmother is presumably Cuban. I ain't sure what's going on with she.
I think so, because...
Right. Where she come, she history. I know why did she could use that gun so good.
Right. Well, exactly, right. So that's little spoiler. Sorry about that, right? But yeah, so they'll like just mention something, right? So like again, if you just know about Spanish history and culture, you will know these things. But for me, I just sort of saw it like, all right, when I go home, literally after leaving the theater, I'm gonna go home and just do some research and be like, oh, that's why the grandmother said this word. Oh, okay, that relates to that history, and like what happens with one of the henchmen, one of the bad guys' henchmen, and references to Guatemala. Okay, that's what happened there. Okay.
Yeah.
But
all of that. Right.
The one in particular I want to mention though, and that relates to the way you said about those even stick around for the second post-credit scene. It involves this like cartoon or some 70s show.
That's right. That's a popular Mexican cartoon, if I remember.
But that's the thing. This was the first time I ever saw this, right? So,
the only reason I know that is because of The Simpsons. The Simpsons
so I've heard, yes.
Right. That's why I know that. It's like, all right, there's a reference, but I forget what it was. Like, it's like, okay, I get the allusion to the Blue Beetle thing. Now it's like, oh, he's a beetle, he's a creature,
right?
Exactly.
But yeah, like for me, I had to go home and research that, right? Also, points for the blink and you miss it reference to Chronos, though, as in Guillermo del Toro's debut feature film, though, which he did in Spain.
Right.
I believe it's either Spain or Mexico, but he is Mexican, right? So it's like that.
Right.
Yeah. Well, all right. Well, I guess I'll spoil it. It involves this sort of beetle-like sort of I want to say a scarab, but it looks kind of more
Right.
metallic than anything like that, right? So it's
Right.
like that, and I like how this show in particular kind of play on that too, because you take it, oh, when Jaime has the, yes, I know the trailer spoiled it, but yeah, when he holds the scarf for the first time, instantly you think that, the legs are gonna just sink into his palm, right? Similar to
Right.
Kronos. But no, I was reminded it jump on the face, and that's where you get the whole bit with all the family members screaming like, oh my god, all that kind of stuff, right? And yes, you get a
Right.
little bit of body horror stuff when he turns into the
Right.
Blue Beetle, but that's serious,
Yeah.
right? Um,
Yeah.
one thing though, one letdown I had with the character, I guess maybe that's why I can't really relate him all that much, is they do the Green Lantern thing where it's almost, oh,
Right.
if you think it, I can create it for you. So
Oh, but
it's
that's the
like,
character. But that's the power set.
okay,
Yeah.
okay,
Yeah.
it's just
That's the
that
power set.
overpowered or seemingly overpowered character.
Yeah.
So
No.
like
Listen.
when
That
it
scarab.
gets to the big battle now, it's like, well, dude, you not even you could make it out alive, but yet you give him moments where it's like, oh, he could die, but like, no, and you could imagine shit,
Yeah.
it's like that,
Well, no. It's once you fully learn the thing, it's get real powerful. Like, because them scarabs real strong. Like you get to see the black scarab later and them kind of thing. It's pretty strong stuff. But yeah, we got a hint at that at the end when he beat the bad guy. And I was like, yeah, you
Yes,
could
yes,
easily
yes,
kill him. But when that power is fully unlocked, it's real strong.
yes,
It's
yes,
real
yes.
strong because it's designed for a purpose and there's a whole law behind what's going on there and so on. So it's a kind of subversion of the Green Lantern storyline.
Right, right,
In
right.
a sense. So
Yeah,
it's
but
like
this
that's fine.
yeah, but
Yeah.
this if I have a gripe though, I just felt like in terms of the pacing and just in terms of the show is structured, yeah, we could have learned about this earlier on. We could have learned about how seemingly unlimited his skill set was. It's only near the end when shit get real.
Right.
That's when we really see it. That we could have seen this early on, right?
Right.
I couldn't help, and I know you've seen it with Ricardo while watching this, to be reminded of a little movie called Iron Man, right, which we talked about
Right.
earlier this year, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
And the funny thing is with this show here is like, if, because again, why I was bringing up DCU or DCEU, right? If this was like the beginning of this brand new chapter of the DC universe, right? I don't understand, and it's almost like how the MCU began with Iron Man, right?
Right.
But that was 2008, and we're in 2023 now,
Yeah. Too much
and
time
we've
passed.
seen 15 years of
Yes.
superhero
Yep.
films,
Too
right?
much time passed.
Yes.
Too much time passed. Yes.
So this is where we get to the biggest issue with the show, boy. Um, I don't want to say it played it safe though, but it was just derivative though. It
Yep.
just plays the
Very
beats.
derivative. Yeah.
It just tick it off, it just
Guys,
tick it off the boxes, right? Okay,
guys
we
was
need to
saying,
do
guys
this,
was
we need to
saying,
do this, we need to do this, to the point that I'm seeing fight scenes, I'm seeing big clashes and whatnot, stuff that's supposed to be blowing my mind. I'm like,
yeah.
but this
No.
remind me of this show, this remind me of that show, this
Yeah.
remind me of that
Yeah.
show,
Yeah, no, but that was saying I find James Gunn in a very precarious spot because what we get is that okay, so when it comes to the ancillary material, like take for example Superman, Zack Snyder tried to do some interesting ideas with Man of Steel, and his Superman I generally don't like, but like it had a bunch of ideas that could have worked if it had a better or a person, I should say, a person more suited to the material to make it work what he was trying to do. But now, since that people seem to reject that approach to Superman now, people are just kind of trying to go back to the what makes Superman popular and why he's a great character in the past, and we get that with Superman and Lois show, right? And we're getting that a lot with this new cartoon as well.
Yes, my adventures with Superman, yeah.
Right, we're getting a lot of that. But the thing is, what I like about this new show, especially both shows, is that not only we getting that, but they have to write interesting different beats on it now, and they evolving it in their own direction, which making it feel fresh, but also catering to why Superman, at least in the classical sense, works. And this show didn't hint at that at all. But again, to be fair, because Jaime is a relatively new character, he's not a mainstream character like Superman. Superman is iconic on the level of pop culture iconic. Even transcend beyond comics and anything. He's just a general pop culture figure. While Jaime is not that. So that's why I give it a bit of a slide in terms of being as derivative as it was, because the cell is not, as I say, as call it soil, not seed, right? The seed is not new, but the soil, which is who they're talking to, aka the Hispanic crowd, that's who it's for. That's where that's why I've given it a blind in that sense. But it doesn't work for me personally. But I don't think it's bad by the stretch of the imagination.
No, no,
Like
no, yeah.
right,
And I do agree with you. Like, yes, I mean, the Latino crowd will really appreciate this. So, like,
right.
but like,
At least on paper, I can imagine that. I don't know if that's happening for sure, but at least the Latin community or whatever it is they call it, It's that. It's
Yeah,
for that. It's for that audience. That's what it is. It's just that. And
but
it's a big enough audience. It's like
yeah,
what, like 45 million people in the States or how much people it is.
yeah,
It's a lot of people.
but for me, I wouldn't go out of my way to compare this to something like say a Black Panther, right? Where it's like, oh,
Nah,
we have
not,
this
not on
big,
that
you know,
level.
we have like well, an African, so to speak, or let's just say a black superhero in
Right.
the Marvel Cinematic Universe here now. But you see like how that show is more like majestic and whatnot. This one
Right.
more caters to it's for
Well,
the tweens, right? It's for the
yeah,
youngsters.
but
It's for them to
Disney,
have fun with. It's like that.
yeah, but Disney, in the case of Black Panther, what Disney did was it didn't cater just American blacks. You see, that's the difference. Black when they talk about Black Americans, is not American, not Black Americans. It's really a global Afrocentrism conceit that they play on. That's how, at least how I understand. That's why Black Panther is so much bigger. I know because Disney, they have Disney money. It's like they fire the biggest gun at the biggest target. So no shit. Black Panther make like 1.3 something billion or whatever it is, right? So yeah, it's that, right? So that's how I just think about it. Like
Yeah,
I'm not comparing it in that sense, right? In that way. But
right.
yeah, it tries to do that because just such a relatively small specific film that I just think a certain audience in the United States is going to appreciate. That's it.
Yeah, you're right, you're right, right.
Yeah,
And
right,
yeah, I mean, it leans towards a younger audience anyway. So yeah, youngsters
right.
will enjoy the show, right? But I mean, but sorry, but if you've seen like a superhero movie over the past 15 years, then yeah, nothing about this really will like blow your mind, right? There's a few attempts at blowing my mind though. Like case in point, a scene involving this large like Beetle like robot, right, attacking soldier. That was cool, and
Right,
the
right, right,
the
right, right.
Motley Crue song that they picked was kind of cool too, kind of
But
unexpected.
oh god, that's one of those things that's bothered the hell. But it's like you could have get another song. Like they really need to do Motley Crue. Why?
And it's the same
Whatever.
song they're using friggin' Shoot 'em Up from like way back
Right.
2000
Yeah,
whatever, right?
whatever, whatever. So
Yeah,
it's one of those studio needle drop
yeah.
studio note
Which
things that
which
I
which this
have.
show was
Yeah,
notorious for doing by
yeah,
Super
yeah,
Mario
yeah.
Brothers movie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
oh
that
god,
that
yeah.
film did a lot of studio decisions, right?
Right.
So I will say this. I will say this though. I'll get to rate it a bit. I will say this though.
Yeah, that's
The
sorry.
needle
Small
drop.
correction. Small correction is closer to 60 million people is the audience.
Okay.
That's at 45 million. Yeah, whatever.
All right. Well. Now I know, right?
Yeah, yeah.
So the needle drop that they do for right? So they always have to have the moment where the character gets a hold of the powers, and then they get to show how much of a badass they are, right? So what I would say without spoiling is the only rap song in it. I thought that choice I saw was perfect. That's all I'll say. It make the show
Right.
that scene work for me. It
Yeah.
remind me of, like again with like Transformers and
Right, right,
Turtles.
right, right, right.
Hey,
Yeah.
people know about hip hop, right? And the choice of people that they pick, that was great, right? I also do like the covers of like old school like hip hop, sorry, not hip hop, rock and pop songs. So like case in point for the scene where you saw it in the trailer, where you saw Jaime at the villain's crib, right? And he, the shot giving the impression that, oh, he owns it now, right? Yeah, they play this sort of sorry, this Spanish version of Michael Jackson's song "Blame It on the Boogie." It's like,
Right,
okay,
right.
all right, interesting. Okay, I like this. This is cool. You know what I mean? So I do like that they do make they do have Spanish language covers of famous songs, right? Also didn't know that Bobby Krulek, right, actually did the score for this. Cause last time I
Okay.
saw his name was for Midsummer. That was the show that pretty much introduced me to him, right? So I didn't
Right.
think that he would actually do a score for like a big budget superhero film, right? And well, I should say he also did the music for Bo is Afraid as well too, right? So look at that, right?
Right. Okay. Right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, but his choice, well, I should say his aesthetic was pretty interesting here because he went for like 80s synth pop though. I was like,
Right.
but the more I think about it, I like I
It
don't
makes
know.
sense.
It does, it does. But
Yeah.
how
Yeah.
I kind of see, maybe I'm overreading it here, but I feel like it has to relate to the representation of Latinos in the United States in American film, like in the 80s, right? So if you think like Scarface and Colors and Lean on Me, that specific era, and so I feel like it's meant to kind of show a much more positive, version of that, right? So I guess that's why they lean towards it. And then also too, it's the sort of kid-friendly coming of age superhero origin story thing, so you can't go wrong with some ET stuff. I mean, it worked with Cobra Kai, right? So like, why
Right.
not, right? But yeah, So right, so I mentioned the lead being great. The side characters are cool as well. Where I felt the show really dropped the ball, unfortunately, boy, was with Susan Sarandon, boy.
Yeah, she was just forgettable. I mean, talk about
Boy,
generic one. Holy crap,
but
Joe.
don't get me wrong,
I
is that
get
but she
again. I
does she
get
not
what
she
she.
go on, go on.
No, I get what she represents. It works because, like, again, they had a subplot with her and one of her henchmen. Well, the two subplots with
Yeah,
her and
yeah,
her henchmen.
right.
One is relatively benign, but the other one is a lot darker. But like the benign one was, I could see a lot of people taking on that now. I get what they're kind of going for, but yeah, jeez, boy, mess.
Yeah, yeah, and I mean, well, not to spoil anything, but it's not like we were expecting, Susan Sarandon to be this big superpowered baddie, right? But I don't know, maybe I'm the only one, but I just felt like because she didn't really do much as a villain, yeah, she just sort of like was pushed aside so she could have one she henchmen put on a suit, and we have like the Iron Man fight literally from the first
Right.
movie now. And the reason why I
Yeah,
bring up
yeah,
the
pretty
Iron Man
much. Yeah.
fight from that, the climactic fight there, is that the villain himself, who's played by Jeff Bridges, yeah, he was the businessman there at first, and
Right.
then he put on
Right.
a suit and become bad. So I
Yeah.
mean,
Yeah.
not
Same thing.
saying that Susan should have put on a suit,
Right.
but like
Right.
I mean, like again,
No,
like
it's the same thing.
you
It's the
know,
same thing. Same thing. Yeah.
yeah, like again, they could have done more to it, right? Same thing. I have to
Right.
say, unfortunately, for Jenny Cord, or at least the actress who plays her, right? I'm
Yeah.
not even gonna
Yeah.
pronounce her name, but I do like the chemistry that she has with Jaime.
I personally thought that was a kind of a contrived romance, but well,
What I
yeah.
mean, right? Like
If they had dropped the romance, it might have worked. Like,
all right.
you're slightly into it, but they had an outright kiss, something like that. That's just a shippiness.
All right. Well,
But whatever.
I
Yeah.
understand. Like for me, it just so I can understand why a character like Jaime could just gush over somebody like Jenny. Like, don't get me wrong.
Say no, you know. I
I
say
know,
no, you know.
but
No, she's a body for sure.
yeah, yeah.
Thick as hell. But
Actually,
no,
actually have a Jordana Brewster look to her with the
a little
hair.
bit,
Yes,
a little
in the
bit,
face,
right?
yeah. But
Yeah.
yeah, you're right. I felt they could have just developed that relationship a lot more instead of, oh, look at me, I'm so hot, and look at me,
Yeah, yeah.
like
That's some
literally that was Jaime.
Transformers one.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, that's some Transformers one bullshit.
Yeah, Jaime was literally drooling at that Gildred,
Yeah,
swear to
yeah,
God,
yeah.
right?
You know.
Yeah,
Right.
they really could have done more with her with that, right? And there's this little thing, this device that she uses to kind of help save the day near the end. That's so
Yeah, plot
dumb.
device.
It's
Yeah,
so
plot device. Who
childish and
cares?
dumb. That's all I was saying.
Whatever.
Right?
It's whatever. It's DC nonsense. I don't care. It's DC science nonsense. I don't really care.
You know
Like,
what I mean?
that kind of stuff. That kind of stuff, I don't expect them to get any, like, oh, they have to make it smart, like this movie did it. No, no.
Yeah,
DC science,
it's really,
DC
really,
comics,
really silly.
science nonsense.
Yeah.
Whatever. Go ahead.
But
Yeah.
overall though, I didn't hate the show. I wouldn't say that I waste my time seeing it in cinema. But yeah, you're right though. This is something that I would recommend to people that they wait till it come out on HBO Max and they watch it there, right? That's not to say
Right.
that it's a terrible movie at all though. It's just we've kind of seen this stuff before. And I just felt like,
Yeah.
even if this isn't intentionally supposed to be like the restart of the DCU or whatever it is, yeah, they could have still put more effort into making this thing, a little bit more unique now instead of just, sticking with well, it's a Latino superhero. That's all we're working with and the family
Right.
stuff. But no, I mean, gosh, 15 years since the MCU started. Like, look, let's just bring more to the table. That's really could have now. That's really what they could have done. I'm not
As I
looking at the
said, this was
runtime. I'm not looking at the runtime for this show. This is 2 hours and 7 minutes straight. It felt like
Yeah.
it honestly felt like a half hour shorter. Like because
Well, it dragged in the second act for me a little bit. Like, it had some moments I was like, all right, they could have cut some of this. Like, but the third act was good. It was fine. So it's like, again, it's still standard stuff, and the second act was just kind of drag a little bit in terms of the length. That's about it. Yeah.
yeah, exactly. So yeah, for me, well, you already gave your rating, right? So for me, rating wise,
Yeah.
like 3 out of 5, man. It's
Right.
alright for what it is. It really could have been better. I think really why it could have been better is that this is the first time a lot of people are gonna be introduced to this character, and you really let's say that the
Right.
show didn't give him justice, to give it or him justice, but yeah, we just could have gotten a lot more, man. Because I mean, think about it. This is like your first, the debut of the character, right? I
Right.
mean, we've seen this hundreds of times before. I mean, look at I already mentioned Iron Man. Look at Shazam, for example. Look at the effort they put into Shazam. I felt they could have
Right.
put greater effort into this movie as well too.
Right.
Even right now to
Agreed.
just having a better villain instead of oh well, it's the henchman of the villain, and then we're gonna have to sympathize with him near the end of the movie with
Yeah, that's too late.
that
That
flashback
was
scene.
too
Like
late.
what?
Yeah, yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
And again, you show him stuff, and now I had to go on Wikipedia and be like, oh, that's what happened there. Oh, that's why this matters. But too little, too late, man. But yeah, they really could have do more with this though. But for the most part, the lead holds the show, and well, George Lopez holds the show, and the other, well, the family holds the show as well too. But yeah, ultimately, they really could have done much more with it, man. But I'm really curious, just to close things off, to see where he shows up in this new crop of DC movies. I'm really curious to see what they do with him
And what they're gonna do with
soon.
it? Yeah, yeah.
Because yeah, I mean he is likable enough, I should say. Well, both the lead and the character itself are so likable that yeah, I would be very disappointed if they just say, well, you know what, people don't really care about the movie, so let me just scrap him, and you know, the actor goes back to Cobra Kai or whatnot. It's like no,
Right.
like
Well, if I understand,
put him in
if I understand the
another
movie
put him
not
in another DC movie, man, or at
Right.
least just simply do a sequel and make it bigger and make it better.
Well,
That's
yeah,
all.
I don't know what they're doing. I don't know if it make money now. To be fair, so I have no idea what's going on. But yeah, it's whatever. It is. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.